Hello and welcome to Monmouth in Focus, a program about the services and functions of Monmouth County government. I'm Cynthia Scott, your host for this segment of Monmouth in Focus. And today we are joined by Freeholder John Curley, who was the liaison to the county's Department of Human Services, and Kathleen Lodato, director of the county's Division of Transportation. Freeholder Curley, thanks so much for joining us today. And Kathleen, thanks so much. Welcome to Monmouth in Focus.
Pleasure to be with you.
Freeholder, the county provides services to some of our most disadvantaged residents. And what does the Transportation Division specifically do to help them?
Well, our Transportation Division, also known as SCAT, is a bus service, and that's headed up by our director, Kathy Lodato. And Monmouth County has been providing to our senior citizens and our handicapped citizens transportation for 37 years. So it's a very valued commodity in getting people to and from, because we believe that all citizens, our seniors and our disabled, should have an independence in life and be able to take care of themselves.
And these services help people get to and from very important appointments that are essential, that they can't, I guess, drive themselves or take mass transit to. Correct, Kathleen?
It is. We do medical appointments. You schedule 5 days ahead of time. Of course, if there's a medical situation, some folks wake up and not feeling well, we do our best to accommodate that. We also provide transportation for food shopping. There's certain limitations, and there's a 4-bag limitation, but we do provide that, and we provide to nutrition sites throughout the county and also to senior centers, because engaging, keeping our seniors as young as they want to be is very important to us. So we do that, and we also provide for people that are handicapped. We have full lifts on our buses. We have buses that are also called a kneeler, which basically the bus will tilt, the stair goes down to the ground, so the length of the lift of the leg of the client is a little less. So because we have, folks with, their hips are not so good, but we do many, many medical appointments, and we also do life-sustaining, which is radiation and chemotherapy and dialysis.
And like you said, usually they have to call a few days in advance just to make sure that the bus schedule is complete, correct?
Oh, our buses fill up very quickly. Folks that are receiving life-sustaining, which is dialysis, which would be 3 days a week, or chemotherapy, are templated. So that means that they are just scheduled. They don't have to call every, day to schedule. We know that schedule, and we work that out with the dialysis centers throughout the county through their social worker.
Right, and we see the SCAT buses throughout Monmouth County all the time, and for those folks who weren't sure what they were doing, now we know. Such an important effort there to help senior citizens out, to help people who are sick, and like you said, who are receiving radiation and dialysis. Where does the funding for the transportation come from?
The funding for transportation comes from, the county's very generous with their participation for this program. But most of my funding comes from casino revenue, and there's been a very big cut in that. What happens is, if you and I go to Atlantic City and we win, the taxes collected off of that money gets divided through departments like mine throughout the state of New Jersey.
Right.
This year, Monmouth County suffered a $291,000 loss in revenue.
Wow.
But we will keep all the programs running, because we backed away a lot from contracted services, and we strictly use our buses. So that was a big savings for the county.
Right.
And it also kept everything the same. It provides the same service. We didn't have to cut any services. We just streamlined it into being conducive to the equipment that we have.
So you basically figured out how to do more with less. Like so
Right,
many
and
other
I
divisions
think
are doing.
a very important point is, when Kathy came in, that division was in shambles. And Kathy really took the bull by the horns and moved forward. And we are now, for the first time in the history of this county, buying our own buses through the program. And that is an accolade to her ability and her effort and her entire staff. And it's a wonderful staff at SCAT. We're very, very pleased with the folks that are working there and the efforts that they put forth in dealing with that senior population and handicapped population.
Sure, absolutely. So important to certainly service the needs of them. And how big is your department?
I have 60 staff members altogether, and 50, I think at this time, 52 are out there on the road.
And how many residents take advantage of the county transportation system? I'm sure it varies from time to time.
We have about
correct?
400,000 trips per year.
Wow. Okay.
So it's huge.
What about, you touched on the importance of medical transportation, Kathy. Can you explain a little bit more?
Yes, our seniors have, frequent medical appointments throughout the county. Sometimes they're just for checkups, they're flu shots, or they are on a care maintenance program with their physician. And for their families, most families nowadays, Cynthia, both work.
Yeah.
So for someone to take off from work to take mom and dad to the doctor all the time, it's really not a feasible thing. So we go right to their home. We are a demand response service with limited door-to-door, which means my drivers do not cross a threshold. They cannot leave the equipment. We will hold the arm and assist for our clients to board the bus. We take them to their appointment, to their doctor. They have a return time. Sometimes they call. They're done a little earlier. If we can accommodate that, we try. We pick them up at their doctor's office, and we return them back to their residence.
Absolutely.
And Cynthia takes in also not only the medical care, but education, employment. We make sure that people get to shop at their local supermarkets, and certainly to the senior centers, our transportation is available.
And yeah, like it says here, food shopping in 27 municipalities, either a half day or a whole day, and those locations are designated sites. So important. Again, this is such a great effort. I would imagine that as people grow older, they can't drive, even if it's not because of an illness. They just they're afraid to drive, or their loved ones don't want them driving anymore.
Well, it gives the seniors the independence that they need, where they can take care of themselves. They don't have to be dependent on a daily basis of family members or friends picking them up and taking them to and from.
Absolutely. And are there any other services that you would like to note, the shared ride service, or that you have in the department?
Share ride is just one bus with many locations. That is 2 or 3 clients on a bus at one time could be going to one destination, but the other 7 are all scattered going to. So it'll follow the route, bring them to the addresses. That is what Share Ride is. We're very, very proud, and I know Freeholder Curley's very proud of our veteran service. We receive $12,000 a year, and once a week we take our veterans at no charge to them up to East Orange, to Lines, and to Brick, so they can receive glasses and medical attention. And that's no cost to them. So that's something that we're very, very proud of.
And you know what, too? Kathy was able to get transportation for the participants in Habitat for Humanity when they were rebuilding homes in Union Beach. And I certainly applaud her for that.
Absolutely. And you had mentioned Union Beach, and of course that I have to bring up Superstorm Sandy as a result of, how did SCAT run throughout this, disaster throughout Monmouth County?
SCAT started operations 2 days before the storm, before the event happened. We made arrangements that no matter what, we would get folks to dialysis. It's life-sustaining. They couldn't be down. Any dialysis center that had a generator that could offer the service, we made sure that every one of our clients got there. We went into action 2 days before. We work very closely with OEM now. You cannot get into a shelter if you're not on a SCAT bus. It's for protection of our youth and our seniors.
Right.
We ran this county, and we followed the sheriff's orders, and Mike over at OEM, and freeholders were on the phone with me. Freeholder Curley was constantly on the phone with me of status. We picked up folks at the reception centers, and we got them into the local shelters. And then we had to bring them to the tent city. We had to bring them all over. We didn't finish our job with Superstorm Sandy till 2 days before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, weeks after, really. And a lot of jobs during Superstorm Sandy stopped because it paralyzed some towns, including many here in Monmouth County. But your jobs obviously cannot stop, especially during a catastrophe like that, because it's about helping people.
Yes.
Yeah, so important.
Our buses were also used as warming stations in Union Beach, so folks could get a FEMA application or get some help or get some food. So we put our 2 largest buses out there just to have some place for someone to go who lost their home, to sit, and just be warm for a while.
Right, absolutely. How do you get the word out about SCAT if someone's new to the area and doesn't know that this transportation exists?
Well, we obviously do a number of seminars. Kathy is out at senior citizen programs throughout Monmouth County. discussing that, and via telephone, radio, our SCAT buses really speak for themselves. You can see them riding down the road.
And shows like this to get the word out.
Absolutely,
that,
yes.
We absolutely, are
Absolutely.
here to help those.
And thank you for that.
You're welcome. Anytime. Love having you both here
Thank you.
today.
Thank
And
you.
again, so if someone wants to set up transportation, they need at least, SCAT needs about 48 hours notice.
No,
Preferably-
anyone can call in at any time, even
Okay.
if they don't have a doctor's appointment. Build a profile. We never take information from a senior or a person with a disability that would cause any kind of fraud of identity. We ask for
Gotcha.
your name, your address, a phone number, and an emergency contact in case we need to get a hold of a family or friend. We build a profile. That profile remains in my system. You have to call 5 days ahead of time for an appointment because we are so packed.
Right.
If it's an emergency, you're really not feeling well, we'll always try to accommodate you.
Right.
You don't have to be permanently disabled.
Right.
You can be temporarily disabled, and we'll help you. We also take you to a feeder service if you need to get to work through mass transit. We'll take you to the train station, but you have to operate within our hours of operation. So we're very proud of what we do. My staff is amazing. We are maxing out this week alone at reserving and booking 104 trips per day.
Wow. And you speak of hours of operation. What are those hours of operation?
Well, my dispatch department is in there at 6 o'clock getting those buses going and answering phones from seniors that may have an emergency that day, and we'll operate till 4:30 in the afternoon.
Okay. All right. Thank you both so much for joining us. Some
Thank you.
Thank you. a
great
pleasure.
information out there, and your job's tough, Kathleen, but I would imagine that it's somewhat rewarding at the end of the day.
It really is at the end of the day
Yeah.
to ride home and say, you know what, we really helped a lot of people that
Yep.
day. And, if I have to, though, emphasize I wouldn't be able to do this without the support of my freeholders and
Absolutely.
also the support of my staff.
All right.
does
Thanks
a
so
great
much.
job.
All right. Thank you both so much for joining me today. That is all the time we have for this segment of Monmouth in Focus. More information, you can go to www.visitmonmouth.com. I'm Cynthia Scott. Have a great day, everyone.